Hi, everyone. Welcome. Carl Steinbeck here. Welcome to tonight's live stream. I wanted to talk tonight, as you see in the title, it just has to do with another Adelson being arrested. I'm getting some reports that folks are concerned about some of the comments that are out there on other channels that are talking about how this is the end of the line here. It ends with Donna. This has run its course. They're at the end of the rope here. These kind of comments are typical for defense-led themes to counter the public's narrative, which is a call for justice, for more justice to happen to more Adelsons, including the mastermind behind this, which is Wendi Adelson. So I just wanted to have that as a title here so y'all can be reassured that at least one more arrest we're going to be seeing here in the coming months. It's going to be right around the time of Donna's trial or shortly thereafter. And it will be Wendi herself that's finally facing justice. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys understand these are defense talking points. Any attorney that would say something like this, consider the source and whether they have connections to the Adelson defense team, including multiple attorneys. So consider the source, and that's all you need to say about that. And realize that it's sort of an act of desperation. I think they realize that the momentum is increasingly and resoundingly a call for justice for Dan Markel, for the ongoing abuse of the his boys that are not seeing but sporadically and very few minutes of every year, basically is what it turns out to be, of their honorable grandparents, Ruth and Phil Markel. So these Florida Adelsons need to have justice brought to them beyond what we have right now. We have Charlie Adelson, former dentist, who's sent away for life without parole. He had so much threats against him there in Florida that they had to transfer him to South Dakota State Pen, where he's in maximum security there. And they pretty much have a lock on any information about what's going on there, but it's out there way out in the middle of the Midwest, northern Midwest plains. It's not easy to get to. They have brutal winters, and it's not a place that a lot of visitors like to travel many hours to go see somebody there. So Charlie probably has had 0 visitors, and that's probably going to remain the case, but maybe one visitor a year, let's say, if his dad could even make it out there. But Charlie's made contact with the outside world. If it's not through his attorney, it's through his dad. And then we have Donna, the mother. She's there facing trial here in a couple months in Tallahassee. She's in Leon County Jail, just like her son was before he got convicted. So she's going to be convicted as well, as my prediction. She's going to go down on the same charges that her son Charlie did. And the evidence against her is not going to be something that the defense can poke holes in and derail the prosecution's case. Their own words and actions of Donna Adelson will convict her. They have her on wiretaps. She's a part of the TV code, and that's pretty much going to be game over. She also wrote checks to Katie McBanois after the murder had happened, and there were checks off of the Adelson Institute of Dentistry, and Katie never worked there. And being the office manager, Donna would have known that. So pretty much she's dead in the water. And so what I really expect to have happen here is Jack Campbell is going to drop a hammer, the huge sledgehammer, and bust up this jam that has prevented the mastermind from being arrested all these years. So that's finally going to happen. I don't have any inside track for sure that this is going to happen. It's my expectation based on the way I think that confidence has been built with the prosecution, the way they just had a slam dunk win in the conviction against Charlie. The jury was out for a little over 2 hours plus a lunch period. And I think the prosecution probably realizes that, you know what, if we would have had Donna there sitting next to Charlie, that they both would have been convicted in a little over 2 hours. So I think that they have this the experience under their belt now as well of taking down an Adelson. I think there was a lot of fear to go after an Adelson. They thought they were going to have these super highly competent lawyers coming in from the biggest cities across America, coming in to fight for them. And as we've seen here, that there really is no defense. Hold on a second. Hello? Hello? Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you. Yeah, so hold on a second. My mic is something's going on with my mic. Stand by here. Stand by. Time out. All right. I'm not sure if that fixed it or not. Can we do can somebody confirm for me? Apparently the mic was coming through my computer instead of the specialty mic. Is it loud and clear now? All right, so sorry about that. Let's see, how many minutes am I in? I'm in 9 minutes here. So, okay, mic is good. So basically, to summarize, I apologize. The narrative that you're hearing from some other folks that cover this case, if you hear anything negative, like this is the end of the rope, end of the line, Donna's the last one, that it ends with her. There's nothing else that they have to work with. Anything negative like that, I would say just tune it out and realize that they have contacts with the defense attorneys that are representing the Adelsons, and that pretty much says it all. So I would say that there is pretty much, there's no doubt in my mind that the arrest will happen for Wendi Adelson, and that's going to happen here around the time of Donna's trial. It could be, December, let's say. I do not think it's going to be beyond this calendar year. So I think that we'll see her arrest. She'll be held without bond, and Donna will already be convicted. So we'll have 3 Adelsons either convicted or facing trial here. So I think that's going to be a huge shot in the arm for Jack Campbell, his campaign and leadership as a state attorney. I think he's going to show that he has the guts to go forward with this. He's not afraid of the naysayers. He's got highly competent attorneys that can accomplish this. They have extremely competent folks that are helping them with graphics, who's ever doing these graphics that we saw in Charlie's trial, where they can assemble all this detailed information and convoluted information and just make it really come to life. And so I commend them for that. And that's going to be similar kind of thing with Donna. There's going to be some more digital evidence, I believe, from the search warrants that will be forthcoming. And so in any event, I think we're going to have another trial then for Wendi coming up in probably 18 months after that. So in less than 2 years, I think we'll see a Wendi Adelson trial. So the saga continues, and we do see progress being made by the state attorney's office. And so anyone saying anything to the contrary, I would say they're going to be proven wrong. And so you don't have to worry about that. So with that, that's going to be my the end of my opening here. So if you do have any questions, go ahead and post them here now. I'm at the 8:12 mark. And you're asking about Harvey too. I would charge Harvey as well. Whether they do it or not, that might be a little bit too much for them. But I would say if they could at least charge him with something like maybe not murder one if they're not comfortable with that, but at least something to get him behind bars as well. So I think that really helped make perhaps another Adelson fold on another Adelson. So that's only going to happen when you start charging folks, as I've been saying. So in any event, if you do have questions, just post it in with the red emojis. That'll help me distinguish that from your commenting among the family here. Yeah, you're saying, let's see. Any information on Charlie's appeal? Well, there's a 30-day extension that was filed last Wednesday. We got notice of that. And so there could be another 30-day extension as well. So it remains to be seen. I think that appeal probably include maybe ineffective assistance of counsel, which means he's basically directly pointing the finger at Rashbaum. So that's really an odd twist to that. And so I would say that the appeal will not have any grounds for reversible error. And so what that means is Charlie will actually have a conviction that stands, and he could appeal all the way up to the Supreme Court of Florida. It's not going to make a difference. I think it was a clean enough case. There's not going to be anything reversed on it. So. Leap is saying, I've been wondering if they're not aiming for a July 18th arrest date for Wendi. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to predict an exact date. I mean, I would say today is better than tomorrow, et cetera. But when they actually feel comfortable with it, I do not know. I do think that it's going to, like I say, it'll be by the end of this calendar year. And wow, just think it's going to be if it's after. So Dan Markel was gunned down on the 18th of July 10 years ago. So this July 18th will be 10 years ago. He was gunned down in his garage. So if they waited till that date, yeah, that would be greater than, I would say, waiting till after Donna's trial. But anyway, they just need to get it done. They need to get the indictment filed and a warrant for arrest completed, and they need to get the arrest underway. Yeah, Brooklyn, you're asking if you think you can get in to go to jury selection and whatnot. I would say for jury selection, it's probably pretty full. You'd have a hard time getting there. But if you wait till after the jury selected, you'd have a better chance of being able to see the testimony. So Charlie stated, no, that's what I'm saying is my confidence is as strong as it's ever been. I really think it's happening this year, the latter half of this year. And so then the talking points that you're hearing are exactly that. They're defense type talking points. That's where we're getting an increase in trolls because they're running scared. They know that the pressure's on. They know that Campbell's not listening to their narrative anymore. And they have this confidence coming on the heels of the huge win they had against Charlie Adelson and the $1 million, whatever it was they spent on a defense team. It all was a waste of money because he had no chance. He absolutely had no chance with any attorney in America to beat that case. And so the same thing's going to happen with Donna. The evidence against her is going to be overwhelming. She will get convicted, and it'll be the right thing for the jury to do. And then they'll be ready to roll with the third one. Yeah, sorry if there's something going on with the mic here. I'm not sure. Or maybe that's an older message. Sorry. Okay, I'm scrolling up ahead here. Yes, Skeeter Girl saying she made a video of Charlie's new prison, just how desolate it is. So yeah, thanks for posting that, Skeeter Girl. I did see the part 2 one, and part of that prison is older than the state of South Dakota, but Charlie's in the Jameson wing part of it, which is built in 1993. Mary's asking if they did polygraph tests. No polygraph tests have been shown in any of the files, and everyone, think about it, all the Adelsons right away invoked, so you can't force them to do a polygraph if they're already lawyered up. I'm so tired is asking if they're watching her now more in terms of playing. I sure hope they are. I mean, it's Don and Harvey almost were able to flee, so there's no way I would say that's going to happen with Wendi, because they're going to do something to make sure she can't flee the country. Yeah, Teeterbug's saying, why didn't Tallahassee police corral Adelson crime family once they did, like they did in Oklahoma with the murder of 2 women? Well, part of the problem is you had the political connections. You had a state attorney chief, Willie Meggs, that made statements that were favorable to the Adelsons and saying that there wasn't enough evidence and all that kind of stuff. So it's obvious that wasn't the truth, because look how easy of a conviction they got against Charlie. So a lot of political interference was really what helped drive this in the ground for many years and keep it from being prosecuted, at least for the Adelsons, that is. All right, Joe Arnold, what is the current evidence revealed regarding the timing of the murder and SFL engagement with realtors that are Wendy's new home? Yeah, there was a apparently like a new condo they had already leased beforehand for $12,000 down there in the South Florida area. So she had a place ready to go. So I think that was the lease is what's going to be introduced into evidence. I saw there was a lease that was put in the discovery file on the court filing system. So I think that's probably what they're driving at, is that they're going to show that this is part of the pre-planned package deal to have Wendi all set up, ready to go down there, which is very helpful to show premeditation. So yeah, someone's comment about Wendy's look, so that's inappropriate. Okay, we're talking about evidence here involving a murder, so making comments like that is absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, we got a bunch of trolls here. It's like I say, this is just evidence that we're in the right here of speaking truth to power here, that the state attorney's office does have the incentive and evidence to go forward on this case. So it's going to be something that we'll see, and we'll prove these naysayers wrong here. NJ Beach Lovers asking, do we know if the Adelsons opened a bank account or bought a home in Vietnam? If they did, watch Wendi and Dad closely. We don't have any of those kind of records disclosed to us as of yet. So I would just say that we may see that in the additional evidence filing. And I think Charlie was going over to Vietnam, sort of setting stuff up for them to flee eventually, if that's what it came to. So I think he was probably making contacts there, scoping it out, doing some recon. Cheryl Locke is saying, do they have enough evidence against Wendi without a family member flipping on it? Yes, they do. All you have to do is, if you want to look at the evidence that we've covered on this channel, and there's indicators that well over 100 indicators on Wendi. There would be over 200 if I went from start to finish on all the different times. There's indicators of her actual involvement or even just lying about it. So it's quite a lot of information, and there's no doubt in my mind a jury would convict if presented that kind of information. Gene is asking, do you think anyone will be offered a deal at this point? I do not. I think they have everything they need. They're not interested in any deals. I just don't see any Adelson ever copping a plea to anything, because they think that money's going to be able to buy their ticket to freedom. So that's why I think that every one of these will go to trial. Now, the best chance you had of forcing them to maybe turn down each other is if you have all of them charged at the same time. Not necessarily same day, but under charges, like maybe if you charge one month, another one a month and a half later, etc. Until you got all four, that would be the best thing to do, to put pressure internally against all of them. So Julia Nielsen's asking, why did the state proceed with Donna before Wendi or Harvey? Well, if you look at it, what I've said before is that Donna's evidence is very similar to what they have for Charlie's evidence. She really should have been at the table with Charlie as a co-defendant and let Rashbaum represent them both, if that's what they liked. And, that absolute ridiculous story about, being robbed and then not reporting it to the police. That's the absolute most ridiculous defense theory you could ever see in a courtroom in America. I guarantee you that. So they thought they should have had Donna there too easily. Wendi had to add a little bit more evidence. So that's why they're proceeding with Donna, because it really would have mirrored Charlie's, and she should have been charged with Charlie instead of having it broken off. But in any event, it is what it is. So I think they're realizing now that they should have done that, and they'll be that much better this go around, because they know they'll have the confidence in and they know Rashbaum's tactics now. Melvin Monk is asking, can Katie appeal due to ineffective counsel since they did not encourage her to take that great plea deal? Normally, you don't see a plea deal based on that kind of stuff, on that issue. And normally, defense attorneys have it covered pretty good. But here, I would say the ineffective is pretty much real normal for a lot of appeals in the criminal arena here in America, because it's one of the easier ways to try to get something overturned if something actually goes to a full trial. Like tactics that the trial attorney did or should have done were basically incompetent, or witnesses they should have called and interviewed and they failed to do that. So that kind of stuff, I mean, it is very critical to have a good defense that meets the constitutional standards of due process. So, but yeah, I'm sure Charlie's appeal will say that that Rashbaum was ineffective. In fact, his attorney Utterman said that would be one of the grounds when he was interviewed some months ago. Okay, here Bab's asking, is there a statute of limitations? Not for murder. There's not for murder at all in any state that I'm aware of. I guarantee you that. For murder, there's never one in any states here in America. But I can't speak for other countries, but not here in the United States. Patty Ann is asking, do I think it's possible the case got delayed or messed up because of the federal case with the Latin Kings and their RICO charges, which is racketeering and influencing type charges, and like the feds you're saying have priority over state charges. Now that wouldn't have been an issue here in this particular case because they were able to use Luis Rivera. He was already sentenced sometime beforehand, I believe. So, and they can work things in tandem, so that wouldn't have been an issue. So I guarantee you that's not the reason why. Sir Tedrick Walker saying, if Donna's convicted, will she not allow funds to help Wendi pay for a lawyer? Yeah, wouldn't that be something if because Wendy's totally ghosting her mom right now. So that would be something that they cut her off with the funding. But I think with Harvey still around, that would not be the case. Harvey would make sure she had funds for her attorney. So I don't see that happening, but right here, Lou's asking, do you think Wendi visited Dan's home before the assassins arrived? I think everything she claimed to be doing the day of the murder was a huge grain of salt. She wanted to hear the gunshot. I don't think she went over there. I think she was too afraid until afterwards. She thought it might have happened. And so the fact that's, you think she wanted to be over there to actually get that kind of lead. I think she drove by maybe thinking there's a chance she might be the one to see him dead in the car in the garage, and she would just kept on driving. And maybe she had a garage door opener, she just closed it or something. Hard to say. We just don't have enough information. And I think if she had driven by there in the morning, she could have driven over, I guess, with her cell phone off. But and then it wouldn't be showing that she was traveling that route on Trescott. But I think she was on her phone so much over at her house that I think that pretty much gives her an alibi. Keep in mind, she was wanting to have an alibi both from the Geek Squad guy as well as the other phone calls she was making. I think there's even a guy, what was it, over in London or something she hadn't talked to in many years. Sample one saying, I believe Wendi will do her best to covertly throw her mother under the bus when she's on the stand at Donna's trial. Yeah, I tell you what, that'd be worth, if there's any time in the trial you want to go see, it's like when Wendy's on the stand and her mother's there. And so anyway, I think that'd be like really, really telling. And is she going to throw some other nuggets out there to help convict her mom? Tracy is asking how soon are you that they have enough on Wendi to get a conviction. I asked because a lot of the talk we have on here may not be able to admit a trial. Okay, well, look at my other live streams and videos that I've put out there with my brother John, and you'll see that there is enough evidence out there. So I've done many trials. I've gotten many convictions. I've had many felony violent cases. As a prosecutor defense attorney, I've tried many in the civilian sector in criminal courts in the United States, as well as in federal courts / military courts. So the evidence is there, and there's admissible evidence as well. So it'll be fine. They just need to go ahead and lock and load, get it to trial. All right, let's see here. I started to mention this, Barley Hopcher saying, do you think she was intended to drive out a close garage? I mean, that could have been one of the ideas she had in mind. Absolutely. But if you think about it, the neighbor wasn't there to call 911. Dan would have still been in there. Maybe the engine's still running unless the car ran out of gas. And he would have paid any attention to him. The garage would have been a little bit darker because it's shaded by the roof and all that. He would have been there, you know. Well, I guess I take that back because he was on the phone with somebody that also called 911. So she didn't know about that call, that he was going to be on the call. So yeah, you take away the fact that Dan was on the call with the school, that when he supposedly was wanting the boys to be enrolled in there locally, and surprised Dan with the fact that she had applied for that. And then so if he wouldn't have been on the phone with that and the neighbor wouldn't have heard the gunshot, yeah, Dan could have been there like till maybe the next day or something. So yeah, it would have been very convenient to close that garage door if she still had a garage door opener. But we don't know if she still had a garage door opener or not. So that's something that I doubt the police would have followed up on. But effective law enforcement would have, but it's probably too late to ever find that out. Let's see here. You questioned whether Wendi was to be the one to find Dan so she could identify the murders and throw the police off. Maybe she was going to go to set up Dave. Yeah, I don't know if she was going to be the one to find him. Also, that's another thing. Instead of driving by, I've said that before, she could have just been the one to like go, oh, what's going on? And she acts like she's trying to like give CPR to him and try to save him. And it's like, well, I just had to be showing up there and I'm trying to save his life, and you're accusing me of being involved in this murder. So maybe the hatred is so bad that could have been actually one of the scenarios. So the prosecutor's not argued that, but I think that would be a legitimate point to argue. Very legitimate. All right, so let's see here. Ms. Figgy is saying, do you think part of Charlie's downfall was saying buying her a TV would be cheaper than him? And that is really something that is damning against Charlie. And I think it also implicates Wendi as well, because she was the one repeating it. And so she's just thinking it's putting weight on her brother, but it's putting weight on her as well. Because why would she repeat it to the TV repair guy that showed up that morning? It just makes no sense unless you were part of it. Why would she not let the TV screen be repaired or replaced by Jeff Lacasse, who offered to get her a brand new TV instead of watching a 90-minute kids video about dragons or something with a major cracked screen, and the boys are crying because they were wanting to see the screen properly. So I mean, it's just so evident what was going on, and jury's going to see right through that. So no doubt in my mind. Kelly Steve 7 is saying, wouldn't she incriminate herself if she were caught on a camera if she closed the door? Well, the garage door she's driving by, I mean, she was driving by anyway. So, and there was no other camera home videos at that time on that street that law enforcement were able to acquire showing the getaway car. So that's why the neighbor was important to help show the vehicle. They also had the tape from the gym showing it was the Prius that the hitmen were driving. Jeannie is asking, do I think the prosecutors were worried about doing Charlie and Donna together given the fiasco with Katie and Secret? I think they were, but that's shouldn't have I don't think it should have been something that to be worried about. So I think they would have realized that, yeah, we really could have had 2 for 1 if they would have had Donna tried at the same time with Charlie. Okay. Demi is saying that 30-inch TV may have turned out to be the most expensive TV in history. It's in the millions now. Well, for what they're paying for attorney's fees and all that, yeah, it's probably close to 1.5, and with all the appeals and all, yeah, it's going to be over $2 million. So yeah, in the millions. Carol Mitchell's asking what women's prisons are like in Florida. You know, they got some violence there too. They don't have quite the gangs that the male prisons do, and but I would I've not done much research on that, but I would say you're still going to have issues, and you can have very bad ones that are more violent, but they're never going to be as violent as male prisons. And I don't think they're going to have the same number of deaths per capita of the male versus female population. Yeah, think how much time and effort they spent, just these millionaires working on fixing a TV, all the conversations, what was that, a 17, 18-minute call Wendi made and she made the Geek Squad guy wait there in her house while she's calling Charlie about the fact that he said, you know, you might as well just replace it if it's going to cost more to repair. It's not covered under the warranty. So it's just, all that kind of stuff is, it's just so obvious she was trying to buy time for an alibi. Sonny in San Clemente is saying, can Wendy's past testimonies be brought up and used against her in trial? Yes, they can, especially if they charge her with perjury. They should charge her with perjury for each time she lied, have a mega spec maybe for each trial, and those are in a perjury during a murder case. So like statute of limitations around 30 years. So I would really be shocked and disappointed if they don't do that. Okay, Robin Azard, you seem sure that the jurors will find Donna guilty. You don't think they'll believe that she was just a mother believing what her son told her. Okay, well, if you follow all the evidence, you will definitely see that this family works as a team and that Dan had to be eliminated. It was mainly Wendy's problem, but there's big benefit for Donna wanting to see her son shines. And who better than to help enlist support from and be an operational planner with contacts to the criminal underworld was none other than the dentist, Charlie Adelson. So I would say that anyone wants to say that she just didn't understand that this was just an actual extortion, as you call it, which I call as a robbery. It wasn't extortion, doesn't meet the definition of extortion. So let's call it what they're trying to claim it is, which is robbery. So they're trying to claim it's a robbery, and you're expecting millionaires not to call the police on a robbery when the folks that are robbing him on a payment plan, first time in history you've seen a robbery with a payment plan, and you actually can point the finger at the people that killed the father of your 2 nephews. So I would say that is so preposterous and outrageous that she's just going to claim this is all legitimate belief. It's not going to fly, and I've done enough cases to know what flies and what doesn't fly. So rest assured that's not going to happen. All right, cat here wrestling around. Sorry for that noise there in the background. Okay, what kind of time is Wendi looking at? It's life without parole for murder one. You go down, you're not going to get on pretrial release. You're going to be held there in Leon County Jail until you go to trial. And then when you get convicted, it'll be life without parole. It's the same thing that's happening to Charlie. Okay, the Tuesday and any work from the Markels pertaining to this news. No, somebody also said that they had heard Ruth Markel talk about there'll be more trials or words to that effect. So I don't think that she's been told anything like that. I doubt it that they would tell her, but so maybe she's anticipating more, hoping for more, what have you. But so I don't know what their thoughts are on this issue about there being more arrests, but I think that they want justice to happen for all those involved, right? So. All right, let's see here, jumping ahead. Jody is asking, do I think Katie will testify at Donna's trial? So Katie sort of like wanted to show up on her own. I think, as I recall, she was not even subpoenaed to be there, but then again, they probably had a jail transfer order. So I think that she would have been wanting to testify, and I think they're gonna use her again this time because she helped counter the narrative that there was this massive extortion, which I call really a robbery based on how they're defining the actions of Katie and supposedly Sigfredo. So yeah, I think there's a good chance that they use her, and I would use her if I was a prosecutor, just to counter any narrative that Charlie was so afraid of Katie and he had to give her this payment of robbery over a couple of years. Debbie said, hello, Carl. Do you think that Wendy's attorney told her to say, I'm not going to be arrested for a crime I didn't commit? Katie said in Katie 2 trial, very self-assured. I mean, it could have been done out of fear or whatnot, but that's something that attorneys a lot of times do, is prepare their clients on what to say, and they go through the role playing. You could see how scripted it was with the cross-examination. It was really more of a direct examination with respect to Wendi being questioned by Rashbaum. So Rashbaum's questioning of her, it looked so scripted and rehearsed. I mean, obviously she knew every single question, and that's what attorneys do when they're on the same defense side, trying to help each other out. They'll share questions like that and try to help each other out. So it was obvious to me from my experience of what was going on. Okay, let's see. Looking ahead to 8:39. Girl Mitchell, hi, did you speak with Kelly Stigler? Thank you. No, I know she was at CrimeCon at the same time Ben and John and I were there, but I did not. I think she was there like in the afternoon or something like that. I think I was already at the airport, so did not see her presentation. Dirty Bev, you're asking, you're saying that you're late, and is Wendi being indicted? I was saying tonight, I expect that to happen. I'm really confident that the prosecution has got their ducks in a row. They're energized. They got renewed vigor, and they really want to respond to the public pressure, which is 10 years is more than enough. And you need to start going after Wendi as well. So that's what I expect will happen sometime still this calendar year. Godzilla is asking, do I think they'll call the TV repairman? I would, just explain how Wendi was using the stall tactics on him and all that kind of stuff. There's a statement I've seen in the police report, but the police report did not really go into enough details. That's why it's sort of frustrating. That's what really makes and breaks a lot of cases, as I've said before, is like how much detail you go into, either as a prosecutor or defense attorney, because a lot of stuff gets left behind, and then, if there's questions unanswered, that can work against one of the parties. Okay, let's see. Yeah, Fancy says so scripted. Yeah, Fancy saw that as well. It was so obvious. That's probably like, and if you also look at Charlie's testimony, that was so scripted as well. I mean, he'd been working on that for a year and a half. It was so scripted. So that's the other thing is that, I've seen people have been concerned about the fact that attorneys are on other channels talking about how they can improve their defense efforts for an Adelson. So I'll just tell you that it doesn't matter what they do. It's not going to matter. So whatever they try to do to try to make Donna look likable and innocent, it's just not going to work. So the truth is going to come out, and the conviction will be forthcoming. Okay, you're staying here, Cindy Collins. On Wendy's condo, she's trying to rent out pictures of owls and a clock set to 10:56 Dan time to that. I've not seen the clock thing in there. I know somebody I saw that as well, but I did not see the clock. So I don't know where that was. I thought they said in the boys' room or something like that. I did not see a clock, so I don't know if I just missed it or what. But yeah, that'd be pretty eerie if that was the case. Yes, for NJ Beach Lover, yeah, they're going to have witness lists and list of exhibits. They're going to have that coming soon here. I think in the next 30 days or so. Those normally come out with a few days of each other or a few weeks. So yeah, they're getting ready to tee up stuff here that we can talk about in the near future. So. Sonny San Clemente is asking about, can Georgia play the jailhouse calls where Charlie says over and over, what are the chances when he drives by the crime scene? 1 in a million. You can tell Donna why I'm to stop talking. I just think that those they don't need those, but I would say that's something the prosecution should argue because it is a good point. What are the odds you drive by and you drove way out of the way, 40 minutes out of the way, you're late for lunch and all that kind of stuff. You don't ask about the kids to the police when you see the multiple police cars in Dan's driveway and tape blocking off the street. Getlow Dreaming Peach is saying, can you explain what might be any legitimate reasons for when he's still getting away with murder every day? Why have they not arrested her? I can't understand. Well, I just think that they're taking a slow, methodical approach. I think there was politics that interfered and maybe some lack of confidence and whatnot. I think the Meg's effect took away a lot of the confidence that they normally would have had. And I think you had, the Meg's carryover effect because his successor was handpicked by him. And so it's sort of like a slap in the face to Meg's if you right away started going after Adelson. So I think there's a lot of intervening things, but one of the main things was the politics of it. So, but I think the politics are pretty much dried up at this point, and I think Jack's going to stand up and do the right thing and to shake off he wants to shake off any kind of these bad connections he had to Meg's. Okay, here. The two saying, do I think Georgia will eventually break down and she'll lose it? I would say that Donna's going to try to be under control, but she's going to be a loose cannon. So she's going to be probably a hothead, and she's not going to be able to control it well. So a good prosecutor will be able to push her buttons and get her mad and see her real personality. But her real controlling personality on this case, her ability to exert control over how this case was developing, will be shown to the jury on the wiretaps when they listen to those wiretaps or when she's talking to Charlie, those are really damning against her. So they're going to get the real idea what she's like. And so anything she throws up as smoke and mirrors on the defense side, it's not going to be worthwhile. Here, De La O is asking, do I think Rashomon actually told Charlie he did great and actually believed it? Yeah, it sounds to me like he told him that. And I don't know how an attorney could say that because, like I say, it was a unmitigated disaster. No experienced criminal attorney, prosecution or defense attorney would tell you that Charlie had a chance with that kind of atrocious testimony. His body language, everything, the way he sat in the trial, watching other witnesses and all that. That's the kind of stuff I observed as well. Juries don't like defendants that act that way, and he was like textbook bad defendant, bad witness by all of that. What he said, how he said it, just all added up to a big conviction, multiple convictions. Ron Nielsen's asking, will we hear rumors of a grand jury was called in preparation for Wendy's indictment? So with a grand jury indictment, you only have a grand jury indictment in Florida anyway, for capital murder cases. So it's basically a jury that comes in when they're asked to, they have like a standing block of time for maybe 6 months, where they come in when the DA's office calls them in, and then they present the case to them, call a couple officers, answer questions, and then they decide either to indict or no-bill them. If they no-bill them, then there's no charges, formal charges that are followed through on. But if they do indict them, then the subsequent actions of the state are to prepare a warrant for their arrest, and that's how you get the person brought before the court to face those charges. So what you can also have, though, is a grand jury could have indicted her already, let's say, and they just don't release it and they keep it under seal for a while. So that's something that could have happened already now, but I doubt it. I think they're going to do that closer to when Donna's trial is happening. But if I was them, I would do it sooner the better. Okay, so here we have Francis Haypenny says no one's ever prosecuted for perjury. It doesn't happen. Well, actually, I've seen a stat sheet showing all the prosecutions for perjury in Florida. There's quite a few of them. So maybe they're not in your jurisdiction, but there's quite a few in Florida, and so that's not an explanation for Wendy's situation. Ron is asking, is there not a recording of Donna feeling Dan was haunting her? What other reason other than guilt? Well, I think that was something that I'm trying to think who said that. I think it was Jumum Shida was saying that she had heard. I think she had heard what Donna saying that Dan was haunting her. So the state may try to get that in. Not sure. They tried to get it on Charlie, and the judge kept it out based on the hearsay rules of evidence. So that remains to be seen. They may just not try again, but because Donna's the one that said it, they may try to go for it this time. All right, let's see here. Yeah, somebody's saying I have an echo here. Sorry, I don't know what's going on with the echo, but I'll try to figure it out afterwards. What I'll do is I'll end earlier tonight then. Okay, Carol is saying, will Harvey Adelson be sitting behind Donna when she's in court? Will she have chains on? There was a report that I believe was from Fancy saying that Harvey intended to be there. She was getting information that that was the case. But I would also say that I think that might be some kind of a head fake that Charlie's trying to appease Donna with, and then he may never actually show up. Remains to be seen, but I think it's great for the prosecution and it's win-win whether he's there or not, because the jury's going to be looking at him and they're going to be wondering why isn't he behind the defendant's desk as well. Okay, Francis Haypenny, I'm calling your question again here because I guess you're responding to Julie. You're saying perjury is not something to be arrested for when homicide is preferred case of bill. It's a dumb one for the DA. Well, I don't know if you're an attorney or not, but I would say that if you have somebody that you're trying for murder and they've lied about it multiple times, that's many times how you get a conviction is based on their lies. So it actually would be a smart move. So anyway. It would be, I think it would be a foolish move if they didn't try to charge it and bring it into evidence. So I think what you're confusing yourself with is if you have a murder charge, you don't want to bring something like possession of marijuana, right? You don't, why make something like that? So, but when you talk about something that's totally tied into the case and you got lies upon lies upon lies by the murder defendant, everything they said that comes in that's a major lie like that, you want to bring into evidence. So all right, so let's see here. We have Lou's asking, do you believe that Adelson's fraud allegations we brought up during Donna's trial? So if it's just rumor of fraud and stuff like that, unless it's really tied into the theory of the case or something, that's not going to come in. So we're not going to hear any of that. I don't see any like theory for the prosecution to bring in and what specific fraud they're talking about. There's a lot of different stuff. I know there's folks that are talking about stuff and insider trading and whatnot, but I just don't see that being something that the state's going to try to bring in. They got enough details that they haven't brought in other trials that I think would be helpful that are directly pertaining to the case. Yeah, Carol, you're right about that. Wendi acted like she didn't know some basic laws, pretended not to. She said she didn't know what contempt of court meant and what the sanctions were. So anyway, pretty outlandish testimony. And DG Ross is saying if Wendi is indicted for Donna's trial, would she be able to testify? Yeah, they could still subpoena her to testify even though she's a co-defendant for this murder case. So. But that may be a reason why they want to wait till afterwards. I really think it would be, from what they're doing, it's going to be right after she testifies or within the end of the year. All right, so with that, I'm going to take one more question. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here earlier than I normally do tonight. Yeah, thanks for the comment about the lamp there. Yeah, I like John's lamp here over my shoulder. It's pretty nice. Thanks, John. Okay, there's one here. Leap is saying in one of my other videos, you refer to a statute that undercuts one's ability to plead the fifth. Can you go over that again, please? So in Florida, they have a statute that basically trumps the right to remain silent, which is a constitutional right under the U.S. Constitution. And so, like we had an issue with Harvey and Donna having some resistance to cooperate to an investigatory subpoena that was issued to them to show up to the FBI Miramar office near Miami, and their attorney was resisting that, and the judge, using the statute as the legal authority, was ready to throw both of them in jail and have them hauled up in a squad car all the way to Tallahassee if they weren't going to cooperate. So that's what I mean by it. It sort of trumps the right to remain silent. So if they're granted immunity for limited purposes, not for the overarching crime that they committed, so i.e. murder, then she's not going to have immunity for murder. But if everything she says in the courtroom is the truthful, then that cannot be used against her from what they gather from that proceeding. If they already know about evidence against her from other means and sources, all that kind of stuff still can be used against her. So you can still charge her with underlying murder. So in any event, that's what I was talking about there. Yeah, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up, folks. Thanks for supporting the cause, Justice for Dan Markel, and also the boys. The boys have seen their wonderful family, the Markels up in Canada, so few times in their lifetime. They're like 14 and 15 now. It's really a tragedy. So that's going to be something now that's going to come back to bite them, and that's going to be admissible in court again, just like it was against Charlie. But the jury's really going to hold it more against Donna, and especially against Wendi. So that's going to be really, really something that I guess that's the only silver lining I see to the boys being harmed that way. That really you couldn't just say, you know what, let's just let the boys see the Markels, let them spend the summer up there. They've never been to their dad's grave site. Those kind of things are just, the jury's just going to be absolutely ballistic mad at whatever Adelson's in the firing chamber in the courtroom there. So with that being said, guys, I'll see you back here maybe next week. So have a great week.